Hello, this is Simon from boneguitar.co.uk, and for today's tutorial I'd like to discuss the techniques involved in playing bar chords or barre chords. Now, this is one of the most problematic of all techniques that guitarists have got to contend with, particularly beginners. Unfortunately, it's a technique that really you have to develop in order to play all types of music. Now, before we even talk about the techniques involved with your bar chords, we must make sure that the guitar itself is set up correctly. Now, many guitars have quite a high nut. That needs checking out, because if the nut is quite high, it will make that pressing down on that first fret really very, very difficult. So if you take your guitar to a competent guitar tech, get them to check the nut out, and if possible, possibly maybe lower the nut to make it easier to play. Unfortunately, many guitars and new guitars have high nuts, so get it checked out. Now, in order to play a bar chord, we need to use the left hand correctly. Now, the main thing is, when you're doing a bar, is to try and keep that index finger perfectly straight. Avoid bends in it, because all that happens is as you put your finger across, you'll just get the... Also, avoid, and you'll see many players trying to do this, trying to play a bar chord with the thumb round. Your finger will just not reach, or you'll get those bad notes again. So, try and keep the thumb round the back. Keep the index finger, the first finger, perfectly straight. Now, what we then need to do is put that finger parallel with the fret. Now, when you actually play a bar chord, your finger kind of rolls into the fret, and in actual fact looks like the finger is overlapping the fret. The other thing is, make sure that you keep the left hand thumb at the back of the neck directly opposite the index finger, or even a bit higher in between the index finger and the second finger. That will vary depending on your hands. Everybody's hands are slightly different, so you can't just generalize and say, oh, you've got to keep your first finger there. It can vary slightly, but the thing to avoid is don't get the thumb down the back, that way down, because all that happens is your fingers twist and you find that you're not going to stretch and get these other fingers down. So keep your thumb opposite the index finger, or maybe slightly above it, as I said before, and with your finger parallel to the fret. And then once you've got that, you can try just strumming across the strings. Try the first fret, that's a tough one, particularly if the action is quite high on the note. So, always keep that finger as straight as you can. As I say, avoid any bends, because all we get is... A good little exercise for practicing bar chords is to just hammer that index finger down. Just try it at different frets, doesn't matter which fret you play on. And that will flex that muscle in the thumb, strengthening over time the grip between your thumb and your index finger. Or you can just strum all the time, keeping that thumb opposite the index finger and the finger straight, parallel with the fret. Now if that's straight, that hand's straight and not twisted, you should then find that the other fingers then go on. You can play all these major chords. Now, the other aspect that's frequently forgotten about when playing the guitar on bar chords is that there is actually a bit of leverage involved. So when you're sitting with the guitar, you'll find that your right hand actually wants to push that guitar slightly forward. So we can utilise that leverage and help holding the bar chord. So you can actually hold the bar without even putting your thumb on it. Not that I recommend that you play like this, but it just shows that you can actually hold a bar, and with that little bit of leverage at this end, play the chords. So that when we're actually playing, we're using a little bit of grip in the left hand and a little bit of leverage from the right. So we're not having to really grip too hard then with the fingers. Because if you do over grip, your hand will get tired. And particularly if you're playing maybe some of the soy studies or the Villa-Lobos studies, which involve these bar chords, you'll find that your hand starts flagging. See, so you need to utilise all the different techniques in order to be able to play that chord or that bar. You can also, if you're having problems with certain bar chords in various pieces, try moving that first finger maybe backwards and forwards until you find the sweet spot where you get all the notes sounding. And this is important because in many pieces people will be playing a bar chord and they'll tend to get that bad third string. So move the finger backwards and forwards until you get it sounding. So I mean, a problematic chord is this F sharp minor one. And what happens is you get that bad third string. So again, try moving that finger about so we get the not, which is what you hear quite frequently. So, playing bar chords, keep the finger opposite the index finger, the thumb opposite the index finger. Use a little bit of the leverage from the right hand as well as the left hand grip, and hopefully with practice and perseverance you'll start getting these bar chords sounding nice and clear. They're not the easiest thing to do on a guitar. Unfortunately, they're vital. Many things you cannot play unless you do the bar chords. I hope this tutorial has been helpful, and I'll see you on the next tutorial, part 2, where we're playing 6 basic chord shapes to give you the bar chords or movable bar chords up and down the neck. Thank you. Bye now.